This is the opening scene of The Lost City, a mostly forgotten 2022 Bullock-Tatum vehicle. But we're not here for Sandra and Channing, whatever. We're here for the 50 other actors in this scene, i.e. the snakes. Yeah, some of these are rubber, but many are real, and at the end of the movie, they guarantee that none of them were harmed while making it. But how do they know? How do you ensure that 0 out of the 50 of these slippery, slithering actors were harmed? What kind of labor rights do snakes have these days? Before we dive any deeper into the past and present of animal acting, let's go through the Lost City Snakes' workday. Each of them arrived on set in their own bin, monitored to ensure they were at a comfortable temperature and humidity. The crew cleaned the floor and laid out all the rubber snakes first, as well as a to-be edited out plywood wall between the people actors and their snake counterparts. The real snakes were carried into the scene in pillowcases and let out to slither at will, and after filming, they were taken to a camping tent outside to be washed and placed in bins with water and newspapers. You know, in case any of them wanted to do the crossword. How do I know all this? Because it's laid out in exact detail on the American Humane Society's website. Also, I was there. I do some stand-in work for Channing Tatum when I'm not YouTubing. Sandra Bullock too. The American Humane Society proudly holds a trademark on the phrase "no animals were harmed" and has a long and exacting list of standards TV and film productions must meet in order to get that phrase slapped onto their credits. In Hollywood's younger days, there weren't standards for animal care, and as such, cruelty was rampant. The first major catalyst for change came in 1939 with the release of Jesse James. I'm gonna skip the details because they're a bit haunting, but basically, the people making this movie did something very bad to a horse. So bad that everyone was like, whoa, we gotta make sure people don't do that to a horse. From there, American Humane started advocating for better treatment of animals on set, and in 1940, the government granted them oversight on animal use in film as part of the Hays Code, better known for its work banning movies from ridiculing the clergy, showing sexy silhouettes, or depicting white slavery. When the government shut down the Hays office in 1966, there was nobody forcing movie makers to consult American Humane, so they largely stopped, and reports of abuse ticked back up. But eventually, another movie, Heaven's Gate, did enough bad stuff that the people demanded rules, and lo, the current system was born. The Screen Actors Guild and AMPTP agreed that if you want to use SAG actors, you have to get American Humane oversight on your animal use. But what do they really do? It's not like most filmmakers are hoping to hurt animals on set, it's just that animals are finicky and can't speak for themselves, so there are a lot of ways to harm them inadvertently. The mission, then, is more about informing filmmakers and crews of the risks certain actors might pose to animals and people, and how to avoid real danger. The main principles are pretty intuitive. Particularly dangerous action should be CGI'd or done with a fake animal, like this scene in Everything Everywhere All at Once. That is not a real dog. That is, but he's only growling because his owner is behind the camera with the treat. Other principles include that you shouldn't use animals that are physically ill, and the animals you do hire need on-set housing that's clean, safe, and possible to escape, kept at a comfortable temperature, well ventilated, and protected from the elements. They also have a right not to stand or walk on surfaces too hot, cold, hard, soft, or slippery for their little feet, hence why these police horses in Barbie are actually wearing rubber boots just off screen. Animal actors also get access to water in a container heavy enough to not tip over and, quote, large enough to satiate an animal's thirst, i.e. when you ask the restaurant for water and they give you a Dixie cup with half a drop in it. As far as Hollywood is concerned, that's inhumane. Everything concerning the animals, which ones are cast, their accommodation, what they do on set, is closely monitored by two sets of people: their handlers and the production's CISR, or American Humane Certified Animal Safety Representative. The first group are professionals with experience handling the specific animals a film calls for. A house cat may have one handler, while a dangerous exotic animal like a bear must have at least 2, and apes over the age of 4 get 3. Handlers usually bring the animals to set and cue them. The CISR doesn't necessarily interact with the animals directly, but their job is to advocate for and ensure their safety. They're on set every day the animal is working, making sure its conditions are humane, it's getting breaks, etc. And they cover their bases. If you're filming a horse racing scene, the CISR will check every horse after every take to ensure they have no real whip marks. If you tell American Humane that you're using a fake animal to do a dangerous stunt, they will demand to see a receipt proving you bought one. To be clear though, not every stunt is performed by a fake animal. For animal stunt performers, like human ones, great pains are taken to make sure no great pains occur. Take, for example, this scene in War Horse. In the final edit, it appears that a horse runs over a tank, falls into a trench, gets up, and keeps running. In reality, this was multiple horses. For the tank, one trainer let the horse go, while another gave an audio or visual cue to tell the horse to run up the secure ramp attached to the fake tank and then come down the other side. For the fall into the trench, one horse did all this running, a different one came up from inside the trench to do this scrambling, and a different one than that was trained to be laying down at the bottom to pick it up from here. Now, we hardly have time to go through the 132 pages of rules and guidelines I read for this video, but here are some of my favorites. Rule 819. No smoking or perfumes around bird actors. They have sensitive lungs. Rule 891D and 8151C. No cats or dogs can act while in heat. Probably an HR thing. Rule 8277. Don't touch a salamander directly. Rule 823. No stacking bird crates unless you're sure vertically stacked birds will not be able to poop on each other through the bottom of the crates. And relatably, Rule 8251. No primate enclosures that allow for the, quote, transfer of waste, which I can only take to mean poop flinging from one enclosure to another. Speaking of primates, apes are not allowed to work after sundown, while monkeys cannot work past 9 p.m. Further, they can only be on set 8 hours a day, and their working day can only be 10 hours long, including travel time, meaning yes, humans are the primates allowed the longest working days in Hollywood at a sweet 12 hours before overtime kicks in. Speaking of primates, this document also taught me that even though ape actors can live to be like 60 years old, they usually stop working after age 8, and American Humane recommends that, to ensure animal welfare, productions ask for proof that an ape's handlers have a plan for its happy retirement before casting it in their film. Now, all this might have you thinking, dang, animal actors have it good on set, maybe better than people actors. And yeah, kind of. But also, much as American Humane may try to prevent animal harm on the sets they monitor, which at this point is over 2,000 a year, or over 70% of animal action in movies, harm does still happen. A Hollywood Reporter investigation in 2013 alleged a number of upsetting cover-ups on productions that American Humane claimed to monitor, and they've been accused of sweeping on-set animal deaths under the rug by claiming they were, quote, not work-related. All that to say, maybe no animals were harmed is an imperfect promise sometimes, but even so, it's a great deal better than some of the stuff that's happening before. Seriously, do not look up the Jesse James thing. Instead, how about you look up this video's sponsor, Wild Grain? To put it simply, Wild Grain is a service that sends delicious bread, pasta, and pastries directly to your door. That alone should sell you, but if it doesn't, here's more detail. You bake their stuff from frozen, and it's all miles better, and better for you, than their lame grocery store equivalents thanks to Wild Grain's slow sourdough fermentation process. When you build your box, you get tons of options to choose from, and they switch out their items year-round so you never get bored. My favorite was probably these Parmesan herb biscuits, but yours might be this, or this, or this. But folks, that's not even the best part. The best part is that if you sign up using my link and code HAI, you'll throw in free croissants in every box you get for as long as you subscribe. That's free croissants for life. And you get $30 off your first order, and they'll donate 4 meals to people in need. I don't know what more I could possibly offer you. Sign up for Wild Grain now. Thanks!